Hello, everyone. My name is Mirna, and on behalf of the Mindalia TV team, welcome to Mindalia live streaming, where thousands of people around the world gather daily to see the lectures and interviews organized by Mindalia TV. Today, with us, Chrystal Rae. She is an author, artist, business owner, entrepreneur, and spiritual teacher. Chrystal is going to be sharing with us a talk about how to live a loving life in a sometimes not loving world. Before starting with Chrystal, we want to remind you that Mindalia's mission is to share information that can help raise the level of consciousness around the world, and you can help us by subscribing to our channel, leaving us a positive comment down this video, or sharing it with someone that you know that is going to benefit of the content that we're going to be talking here today. Also, while we are live streaming, like right now, we want you to use the active chat. We invite you to use the active chat. It's the screen that you're going to be seeing here on my side. And through there, you can interact with us. We just please ask you to follow the format, word question in caps, and the actual question that you have in relation with the conference that we're having today. After her talk, Chrystal will be kindly answer. We also want you to collaborate with us with your own valuable content. And for that, you can go to our website. On the top, you're going to find a link. It says collaborate with Mindalia. That link is going to take you to a form that you can fill out, and our technical team will be getting in contact with you. Remember that you can do it in Spanish through Mindalia Televisión, in English through Mindalia TV English, and in Portuguese through Mindalia Televisão. Also, visit our different channels. Find out what we are sharing there daily, information as beautiful and as interesting as the one that you already used to see on Mindalia TV. We're not going to delay this any further, and we're going to leave you with Chrystal. Chrystal, welcome to Mindalia live streaming. The screen is yours.
Hi everyone. Thank you, Mirna. So my name is Chrystal Rae, and I am an artist, author, teacher, spiritual teacher. I own a few yoga studios here in Dallas, and I'm writing a couple of books on love. And that's my most, that's like my every talk is about love. That's my most happy place to talk about. What I'd like to share with you today is how to live a loving life in a sometimes not so loving world. And I mean everydayness kind of living, not just the hypothetical kind of I'm going to be love, kind of woo-woo love. I want to share with you some techniques that work for me, and how you can implement this into your life and why you would want to. Number one, I'll start with a little bit of background. So I've been teaching yoga for, oh gosh, now it's kind of, for as long as many of you have been alive, and a little bit longer. I've been teaching yoga for about 25 years now, which has been great. It's been a pathway to free my body and my mind, because our bodies are a microcosm or the macrocosm of our world. So when our bodies close down, it's because it's mirroring something else. I started this yoga practice, though, after having a near-death experience. I had a really serious car wreck way back in the day, 20 years ago, where I was hit by a car. We were going down up a mountain. We were hit by a car. We were on a ski trip, and we flipped off the mountain after being hit, fell 25 feet, flipped 10 times, and it really shook my life up, as understandably, right? In a metaphysical way, and then in a practical way too. I mean, everything just started to change. Number one is I was more appreciative of my life. Before I had this car accident, it was more like life was sort of a burden. Like I was a good daughter, a good wife, a good ex-wife, a good mother, but it was all kind of like this heavy backpack that I was carrying, and there wasn't a whole lot of joy. It was kind of like life sucks and then you die. After the car wreck, though, I had this is a longer conversation, which I won't do today, but I had this metaphysical experience where I was shown in a real way that each life, each soul is here for the bliss of its own existence. And I was shocked by this, because that included me, that my soul was here for bliss. And up to that point, I hadn't had a real blissful experience of my life. And like most people, I had had my challenges and my joys, but it was more about my perspective on the world. And it was pretty dark. And that was based on, a childhood with alcoholic parents and a failed marriage and this and that. I mean, all the reasons that were valid reasons, but unfortunately, regardless of whether they were valid or not, they had shut my life down. When I came out of this experience, many things changed for me. Number one, I recognized the gift of each moment, the gift of my soul getting to experience life on this plane of existence, this beautiful playground that we call planet Earth. And the funny thing is that nothing really changed. In other words, all my challenges were still challenges. All my joys were still joys. The difference was I now saw it differently. I saw it through the eyes of love. So let's go into what I mean when I talk about love. So we'll start with that. You know, when you say the word love in America, it's almost like you're saying, you know, a bad word, like a four-letter word, a bad word. People kind of cringe at the word of love many times because, understandably, by the way, because it's been kind of abused and abused. So many times people throw the L word out and they have no real sense of what that means. And then others, you know, we've been hurt by parents, we've been hurt by loved ones, teachers, friends, betrayed. And so we start to have this negative association with the word love. So what I want to do today, if you will invite me into your life, is to ask you to question this kind of like deep-seated, you know, like I know even in the dating world, like nobody wants to say like I love you first because it's kind of like a vulnerable thing, and or you know, it makes you feel like you know you could be hurt and someone could take advantage of you. But I want to share with you a different view of love, a way to live a loving life that's actually empowering, that it's a rock of your strength rather than something that makes you feel feeble and vulnerable and you know, disposed to be hurt. Rather, the truth of love. And one of my favorite teachers is a guy named Ramana Maharishi, who, cool story, and I'll just give you the Cliff Notes version of it. He had a near-death experience as a young man, and he was out of his body for about 45 minutes. But what he recognized was similar to my experience, is that although he was out of his body, there was a part of him that was still conscious. And so he looked down at his body and he said, well, if my body is no longer alive, and yet I'm still me, my consciousness is still here, then who am I? And he wrote this very small book called Who Am I? And this book, it was life-changing for me. So Who Am I by Ramana Maharishi, for those of you who, you know, are like me and like to look things up. In the book, which by the way was scripted by all of his disciples, he never wrote a word. He lived in a cave for like 30 years and then came out and bestowed his teaching upon his disciples, who scripted it down for him. And in there, one of his disciples asked him, Master, what is love? And his answer is, it's life-changing. I mean, it changed my life. It rocked my world. Because he said, love is, you paying attention? Love is the pure light of undifferentiated consciousness. Love is the pure light of undifferentiated consciousness. And what does that mean? That means love has no opposite. That means it's a pure light with no opposite. So what that means for us on an everydayness, and we started this talk about everydayness, is that there's nothing you have to do to be worthy of this love. There's nothing you have to do that would make you lose this love. It's unconditional and it has no opposite. And it permeates all things, including you and me. It is the spark that starts your heart. It is what keeps the planets in alignment. It is the core of all existence, the substratum of the universes. And on an everyday level, what that means is that you can anchor yourself in this love. in this pure light. You can move from this. Your being is rooted in this. The very essence of your soul is in this, every cell of your body. And when you recognize this, when even hearing the words has a sort of transference that changes you. So for those of you who are just hearing these words, good karma for you, because it was meant for you to know that in the midst of a seemingly unkind and cruel and unfair world, the truth is love. The truth is that the soul attracts to it everything, including flying off cliffs, flipping, and having near-death experiences, if that need be, as in my case, because I'm a bit hard-headed, so that you can see the truth, so that you will know the truth. The soul is here for expansion. The soul longs for expansion, and it brings to itself that which would encourage growth. And sometimes it's just hearing these words. You are loved far more than you could possibly imagine, and all is well. Everything is happening for you and not to you. And when you root yourself in this, and you really feel anchored in this truth, your life becomes very different. Just as I said, after my car wreck, all my challenges were still there. All my joys were still there. But the seer behind the eyes was different because my perspective had changed. I now understood on an experiential level that what permeates the universe is this omnipresent force called love. Now, how to bring that into everydayness? This is the talk, right? So let's just say we accept this on a theoretical level. Okay, they say, well, theoretically, I can accept that. Love is the anchor, love is permeating everything, but how to live that? How to live from that? So I was talking to my students this morning about a thing called paramitas, which is, it's a Sanskrit word, and it is like these 6 disciplines, and I'm only going to talk about 2 today. We'll save the other 4 for another day. 6 disciplines that can help you anchor yourself in love. The first one is actually discipline, but it's not the discipline that you might think, because the discipline that you might think might be what we think of in our world, like I'm going to get up and I'm going to go to yoga or go to work or get to school or lose 5 pounds or accomplish this or accomplish that or get accolades for this or accolades for that. And it's kind of this drudgery of like, I have to do this. That's not the discipline I'm talking about. I want you to think for a moment about a tree, okay? A tree doesn't get up in the morning and go, today I want to really dig down my roots and I want to blossom and I'm going to sprout some weed and I'm really going to be disciplined and I'm going to do that. It would be ridiculous, right? The tree just inherently does treeness. It doesn't struggle. And so each one of us is like that. We're like a tree. We have this inherent goodness inside of us. And all we need to do is check in with it. So it's happening anyway, just as a tree. Eventually, the flower will blossom when it's time to blossom. But when you check in with this, when you trust yourself, when you trust the divinity, and you show up to this inherent discipline of just being you, never to be replicated for all of time and space. You get to be you, that inherent discipline of being you, and you wake up. Now, here's the second part of that. Sometimes, as we're being trees, we'll just stay with the tree analogy, it's a stormy day. Sometimes it's a sunny day. Regardless of whether it's a stormy day or a sunny day, the inherent goodness or the inherent wisdom of the tree is still there, doing what trees do with the inherent discipline of just being. And you and I, when we anchor ourselves in love, regardless of whether it's a sunny day or it's a stormy day, when we're anchored in the truth bigger than ourselves, a truth that's the substratum of the universe, the core of all existence, this omnipresent force, kindness and compassion and love that created everything. And I can tell you this from experience, not just from theoretical reading about it, but from actually experiencing this when I was out of my body in a near-death experience. And I saw that what permeates the universe is love, is light, is truth. When I'm anchored in this, then regardless of the stormy days, and by the way, this is a big mistake for many spiritual people. They think because, well, now that I have the truth, now I'm not going to have stormy days. That's not true. I'm sorry to pop your bubble. You know, you will still have the challenges of your life, but you will see them very differently. You will be grateful for the storms and grateful for the blossoming, grateful for the wilting and the weeping, grateful for all of it, because you will see it through the eyes of love, and you'll know that whatever is happening because your soul longs for that. And sometimes that's fabulous, and sometimes it's tragic. And the horror is real. The tragedy is real. But you will see it differently. You will see it as a pathway to God, a pathway to truth. And your life will be very different. Now, how to do this? Okay, so we're anchored. We're anchored in this truth. And we trust that inherently we will be and do what's natural for us when we're anchored in this truth. So if I am love, listen, I remember Wayne Dyer one time, he said, think of yourself as a love orange. If someone peels you, they get orange juice. If they poke at you, they get orange juice. If they smash you, they get orange juice. So when you're love, when you're anchored in love, what will blossom out of you, whether it's a stormy day or a sunny day, is love. And when you truly love yourself, and I always teach my students this, to love self first, because if I don't love me, I have nothing to give you. I have to love me. Then I can love you fully. And when I say love me, I love all of me, like the shadow side, the dark night of the soul, the brightest bright, the darkest dark, and every day in between. So when I see that reflected in your actions or the actions of those in my life, I can love them too. I can understand that too. And so this becomes a sacred practice of just seeing everything with the eyes of love. I know in Khalil Gibran, a famous Persian poet, he once said, love, and this is a paraphrase, if love finds you worthy, it will shake you to your core. And another teacher said that in a different way, Gangaji, she said in her book, A Diamond in Your Pocket, which I love her. She said, if you're worthy of love, your heart will be broken 1,000 times every day so that you can love more deeply. But if you want an ordinary life, cry only half of your tears and laugh only half of your laughter, then stay away from love and live an ordinary life. And at the end of your life, when you close the book of your life, what will be left will be like, what just happened? That's a sad life. That's truly a sad life. A joyous life is full of tragedy, elation, ecstasy, everydayness, boredom, depression, all of it's included. Nothing is excluded. And then there's the seasons of your life. You know, every season has a different flavor. It's almost like you have multiple lives within one life. The life of a toddler. I have grandchildren, believe it or not. They were amazing. But they're in this, you know, one of them is just a year old, and then the other is 4. And it's a season, you know. It's a very different scene. You know, the terrible twos, season. The teenagers, oh my gosh, another season. The 30s, building your mansion in the sky, right? The 40s, coming into midlife, sometimes midlife crisis, and the 50s, a little bit more wisdom, and 60s, and so on and so forth. So all the seasons will bring a gift to you when you look at it through the eyes of love. And in our youth-oriented Western society, we don't really honor the aged in the way that they do in many other parts of the world. But the real gift of the wilting, of the letting go, is that as we move through our lives, and as we recognize what's inherently important and what's less important, there's a letting go. There's a nice story that I like. It's a Zen story, and it talks about two brothers that had yaks. One brother was poor and one was rich. And the one who was rich had 99 yaks, and yaks are these animals that they have up in the mountains in India. And the poor brother only had one, but the poor brother was very happy, and really his yak, was happy, and he had very little needs, and really the yak didn't bring him any more or less joy. It was just another animal that he had. But the brother who had 99 yaks, he said, if I had 100 yaks, then I would be somebody. Then I would be important. So he went to the brother who only had one, the supposedly poor brother. And he told him, if I had 100 yaks, that would be a lot to me. That would be important because it would just push me over that, 99 to 100. For you, yaks mean nothing. So, brother, can I have your yak? And the poor brother said, let me think about it. He said, sure. If it makes you happier, having a yak and not having a yak doesn't mean anything to me. So he lovingly gave the yak to the brother. And so, of course, the brother of the 99 yaks was really happy for a minute because now he had 100 yaks. But I'm sure you can understand what will happen next, right? He'll think, well, I have 100 yaks. Now I need 101 or 110, and so on and so forth. So as we move in our lives with this rootedness in love and this understanding of the inherent good of the universe, including you, even on your darkest day, and of all people and all things. And then we have this letting go of the things that just clutter our life, and the yaks, we let go of the yaks because we don't need them. And at the end of our life, we can't take anything with us. The only thing that we can take is the love that we have and the love that we give. So that's my invitation for you. I'm so happy and honored to be here with you on Mindalia, and I hope to see you again. Again, my name is Chrystal Rae, and I love you all. Namaste.
Thank you, Chrystal. Thank you for sharing with us your time and your wisdom. We're going to go to a quick Q&A session, but before that, we want to remind our audience that Mindalia's mission is to share information that can help raise the level of consciousness around the world, and that you can help us by subscribing to our channel, leaving us a positive comment down this video, or sharing it with someone that you know that is gonna benefit of the content that we're talking here today. Chrystal, now you are gonna be hearing my voice, but you're not gonna see my face. I'm right here. Our first question is, how can we stop overthinking?
Overthinking. So really the thing about thoughts is that you can't stop them. If I was to tell you, stop thinking about a pink elephant, the first thing that you're going to do is think about a pink elephant. So let's try it. Stop thinking about a pink elephant. Don't think about a pink elephant. Whatever you do not think about a pink elephant. So rather than trying to stop your thoughts, my suggestion is that you make peace with them. Just like you would make peace with clouds in the sky. You would not try to pull the clouds towards you or push them away. Rather, you let your thoughts just float by. You just let the thoughts float by. And if they start to get loud, then you allow for that too. They get soft, you allow for that. And so there is this peace. And one of the greatest tools to do this is to simply breathe. When you feel yourself getting really cluttered with thought, just take a couple of deep inhales, exhales, Deep diaphragmatic, inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose, calm yourself down, and quit trying to push the thoughts away, but rather soften into them. I call this being peaceful with not being peaceful.
Thank you, Crystal. Next question. Is yoga for all ages, or is there a recommended age to start and also a certain age in which it'll be too late for us?
So in the traditional yogic tradition, they say that yoga is in three different times of your life, seasons of your life. There's the yoga for the young person, which is all about discipline and rigor, and then there's the yoga of wisdom that comes later, maybe midlife, and then there is the yoga when you're a little bit older, which is the yoga of wisdom. So the answer to the question is, it's never too late to start yoga. And as a matter of fact, whenever, I didn't even start yoga till I was in my mid-30s. And so whenever you start is the right time. It's like it's saying, should a flower blossom or not blossom? Well, the flower will blossom when it's supposed to blossom. And sometimes that means your mid-30s. That's when you start yoga.
Thank you, Crystal. The very last question. Is there a real way to quiet the mind?
Okay, that kind of goes back to the first question of stopping the thoughts. So here's the thing about quieting the mind. There is a space inside of you that's beyond all of your thoughts, beyond all the clouds in the sky. It's the thinker behind the thoughts, the viewer behind the viewing, the feeling behind the feeler behind the feeling, the doer behind the doing. And that place, and this is where you go back to Ramana Maharishi, the pure light of undifferentiated consciousness is never moved, is always the same. And so when you say, is there a real way to calm the mind? The real way to calm the mind is to notice the thinker behind the thoughts. So the mind will always keep doing what it's doing, but there is an observer, and I call it omnipresent observer, that's dispassionate to all the ups and downs of life. It's kind of like if you were standing back behind yourself, watching yourself. And when you learn to do this, then it's the chatter of the mind will stop of its own accord, because what happens is you're connecting to that part of you that's never in chatter, that's always in prayer, always in meditation, always in peace. And that permeates all things, even in the midst of cacophony of life, cacophony of your thoughts. If you just take yourself outside and become the thinker behind the thoughts, or just observe who is observing.
Thank you again, Crystal.
I hope that answers your questions, Mirna.
Oh, it's our pleasure. It's been our pleasure to have you and to hear all your wisdom. Thank you again. And we have come to the end of the Q&A section as well. Crystal, where can our audience find you before we leave?
I have 3 yoga studios in Dallas. They're Gaia Flow Yoga. One is in Addison, one's in Uptown, and one is in Plano. And that's GaiaFlowYoga.com. And Gaia is spelled G-A-I-A. So I hope you'll join me there. Also, stay tuned. I'm writing a couple of books on love. One is a wisdom book on love, and one is a short story book on love. So that will be out soon. Stay tuned on that one. And I'll see you on the mat.
Thank you. Once again, to our audience, again, thank you for being with us today. Remember that you can see Mindalia in Portuguese through Mindalia Televisão, English, Mindalia TV English, as you already know, and Mindalia Televisión in Spanish. Visit our different channels, visit our different platforms, and also collaborate with us with your own content. And for that, you can go to our website. On the top, you're going to find a link. It says Collaborate with Mindalia. That link is going to take you to a form that you can fill out for our technical team to be getting in contact with you. And thank you for being with us. Like our channel, like this video, subscribe, and visit us in our Instagram and Facebook page. Once again, Crystal, thank you for being with us. And until next time, bye-bye.